What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy, Astro the Kid, coming at you with my first ever YouTube video, guys. And today, I'll be giving you my draft breakdown from the SRBA, or the Spontaneous Reddit Battle Association, Season 2 for your Los Angeles Luxrays, guys. And unfortunately, I was not a part of Season 1, but I'm excited to be here for Season 2 and everything that is going to be holding. Um, so actually, this is my second draft league I've been a part of. The first draft league I was a part of was very good for me. It let me get my feet in the water, see how draft leagues work. It was just a very good opening league, but unfortunately, that league did disband during the middle of season two. A little bit after I had left the league. But before I left the league, I'm glad to say I was the season one champ, guys. So your LA Luxrays do have a title underneath their name. So I'm excited to take the SRBA by storm, guys. And before we start our draft breakdown, I want to give a huge shout out to Grum for finding me and getting me in the league. And an even bigger shout out to Cool for making this whole PowerPoint. Guys, go check him out. I'm going to put his link in the description down below. Check him out. He's doing a draft breakdown. I know some of the other guys are doing draft breakdowns as well. And they're going to put them on the SRBA channel, which I will leave the description or leave the link in the description down below. But let's get into this, guys. So, the way the draft worked was we were doing a UCL style draft, which meant we got 3 months from each tier. NU and PU were fused together. And usual UCL style drafts, it's randomized every round. We did a snake style draft, so whatever pick you had round one, flip that. That was the pick you had round two, and so on and so forth throughout the whole draft. So it was a slow draft. We did draft about 2 weeks ago. So I waited so long to get the video up because I wanted to make sure my team was finalized. We had a preseason period right now where we had unlimited transactions just to see what mons we wanted and everything. Since it was Thanksgiving break. But so going into the draft, I did have a plan of getting Superior and Megazard X. I felt like the two would help me start the building blocks of my team for a Fire, Water, Grass core, and then the Dragon, Steel, Fairy core coming from the both of them. So I had to wait for my pick to be announced, and I ended up getting pick 12, guys. Pick 12 isn't the worst pick in the world, don't get me wrong. But I was hoping for something more in the middle, maybe a little bit higher than pick 12, like 10 ish. But pick 12 was not bad. So I knew going into the draft, I was either going to get sniped from one of them or I was going to be able to get both of them. So I had my expectations high going into it. And unfortunately, guys, I got sniped twice. Both of them went in the first round. Superior went pick 5, if I'm not mistaken, and Zard went at pick 8. So coming off of that, I had a few other draft plans. Some of them were with old Mons. One of them was with Landorus Therian, which was the Mon I was going to take, but then at pick 11, he got taken. So at that point, I just said, you know what, let's have some fun. So I ultimately decided to freelance this one almost. Just to try out some new Mons, to see what kind of team I could build by myself. So I'm glad to say with my first pick, I got Mega Scizor. And I took Mega Scizor because I believe he is the best, or one of the best Megas, if not the best Mega. Having only one weakness, which is fire, being a quad weakness is hurtful, but there's ways you can cover that up. I think Mega Scizor is really good just because of the versatility it can give out. It can be a hazard remover. It has moves like Defog. It can be a tank. It has reliable recovery. It can be physically defensive. It can be a pivoter with U-turn. It can be a fully offensive mon. There's just so many things that Mega Scizor can provide to my team, and I felt like it was a perfect first pick for this team. So going to the next pick, I did have the first pick of round two. I was trying to think of what I wanted to pair with Mega Scizor. There was a few things out there that I saw, but ultimately I did choose the monster that I chose, and I think I probably got this still at the draft at pick in round 2. I got Kiram Black. Kiram Black is an absolute monster. It is a wall breaker. It's gonna tear apart someone's team. There is no safe switch-ins really to this mon. I feel like if it is run correctly, it can be run specially offensive, physically offensive, with move, and it has such a good move pool, or a decently good move pool with fusion pool, focus blast. It gets Ice Beam, it gets Freeze Shock, which is a 2-turn move that is Kiram's signature move, but there's ways to get around that. It gets Focus Blast. It just gets so many things that hit so hard, and there's so many, you can give it so many items that will help it be able to provide more with you with Z crystals and Life Orb. There's just so many sets you can run with Kiram. Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. But I ultimately felt like I got the steal at the draft right here with Kiram because of how monstrous this thing is. So going into the last round of OU, I had the last pick of OU, and I wanted a fast mon. Like I wanted something that when people saw, they're like, okay, I don't have anything faster than this mon, or something that was like, okay, I gotta prep a choice scarf to make sure I outspeed this mon. So ultimately, I did get to choose my favorite mon. Originally, my favorite mon was Blastoise, but now this is my favorite mon since 6th Gen came out, and I got Greninja. And yes, we will be using Shiny Greninja all season. I will make sure of it. I chose I chose Greninja mainly because of how versatile it is too. That was kind of the theme I was going with for my first couple of picks. I really wanted something that I knew I could trust, have just be super fast. There's so many different ways you can run Greninja with Choice Scarf. You can run it as a Focus Sash lead. You can run it Life Orb. There's just so many. Its move pool is so diverse that there's so many different ways you can run it. You never know what type of Greninja you're going to be facing week in, week out, and it's just one of my favorite mons. The only downside is we're not allowed to use the Protean ability or the Battle Bond ability, so we are stuck with that Tauren ability. Um, but that's okay because I'm glad to have this thing on my team. So going into UU, I had already planned that because I had the first pick of UU, that if I didn't get Charizard, I was gonna get a fire type. And there's only one fire type you get in UU really, and it's the best fire type in UU. It is the best mon in UU in my personal opinion, and that is the Fire Monkey himself, Infernape. This thing is a monster when run correctly, and it can be run in so many different ways. It gets moves like Stealth Rocks, Vacuum Wave, Mach Punch, Close Combat, Flare Blitz, Overheat. You can run it in various ways. It can be another Choice Scarfer to pair up with Greninja so you don't know which Choice Scarf is coming. It's another pivoter with U-turn, which was something I was really looking for because I want the ability to make predictions and get out of sticky situations, get mons in that can have winning matchups, and that was my ultimate goal, getting the mons that I did so far. And I feel like Infernape added that strong fire type and that strong pivoter to my team. So going into the rest of EU, I knew I needed a fairy type, and I wanted a flying type. And there was a few other things. I wanted some hazards because I didn't want to have to rely on Greninja and Infernape week in, week out to set up my hazards. I also knew I needed another form of removal of hazards because I didn't want to have Scizor do it every week. So I ended up having the last pick of UU in round 2, and I'm so thankful this thing fell in my lap. I was able to get Togekiss, one of the most annoying mons to face with that Serene Grace ability and the Air Slash move, which, and with Serene Grace that flinch rate goes up. But that wasn't the main reason I chose Togekiss. Togekiss is a monster in a various amount of ways, being so versatile. It can be a speed control mon with Thunder Wave. It gets Heal Bell. It gets Wish. It gets Reliable Recovery. It can be run specially offensive, and the best part, well, not the best part, but one other reason I looked into it a lot was because it is a special defensive wall. It does get defog, and it does get baton pass, which we are allowed to use in this league as long as we are not baton passing stats. So I can't nasty plot and then baton pass that to another mon. I only can baton pass to get out. So it's another form of U-turn, but not doing damage, which I'm going to really enjoy using. So going into my next UU pick, I knew I wanted hazards. There were some mons left. I did have um, a higher pick in UU, but there still wasn't a lot of mons left that I knew fit the team very well. There was a few mons that I saw. I really wanted a lowland muck, but it was gone in the first round, so there was no way I was getting that. But ultimately, I did get Blissey, who is a very monstrous, especially defensive wall. Um, it does give me stealth rocks, which was another form of hazards. It's a cleric with wish and heal bell. It gives me a status taker with it having the ability of natural cure. It gets reliable recovery and soft boil. But the main thing is it gets speed control with Thunderwave, and it gets Stealth Rocks, which is a form of hazards, which is something I felt like my team was missing. So I'm very glad Blissey was still there when I was able to draft it. So going into RU and NU, there was a couple of things I really was looking forward. I knew I needed a psychic type. I knew I needed a ground type because there was a lot of ground type or a lot of electric types going at that point. Because I did have the last pick of RU, I noticed a lot of the electric types were going fast, so I was getting a little worried that I didn't have really a check to it yet. Um, so I knew I needed a ground type. I knew I needed a rapid spinner. I wanted more hazards because you can never have too many forms of hazards. So I was hoping and praying that my next pick was going to make it to me, and it ultimately did. Um, excuse me. I was able to get Don Fan, which I am so excited to have on the team. He's a reliable ground type. He has this sturdy ability, which lets, if he's at full HP, will let him live no matter what. So it kind of gives me not really a scouting mechanism, but a ability to feel safe about setting up rocks and taking a hit. It gets rapid spin, which is something really huge. Because don't get me wrong, defog is really good at getting rid of hazards, but sometimes you want your hazards, the hazards you set up on their side of the field still. So defog can kind of ruin that. So I'm very glad I got Dawn Fan at where I did. It does have a strong physical or a high physical attack stat. So it just there's so many ways this thing can be run, and I'm very very happy that Dawn Fan was able to fall to me. So going into my next pick, like I said, I still was looking for a psychic type. I was still looking for a grass type. I kind of noticed that my fairy type um, check wasn't really there. Like, yeah, I had Scizor and Blissey, but there's still like things that I was worried about being from fairies. Um, but ultimately, I did find the mon that I wanted, and I got Roserade. Roserade completed my Fire Water Grass core. It gave me a reliable poison type that can be a fairy killer because Roserade's special attack is nothing to mess with. It does give me another clerk with the aromatherapy. It gives me more hazards with spikes and toxic spikes. It is just a very, very good monster. Give me 1 second, guys. My computer is low. It's all good, though. We got it. All right. Where did I leave off? So, Roserade. Very, very good. I was very happy. It gave me another specially defensive wall and another clerk, and I was just happy that it was there where it was. Um, but going into my last RU pick, I really wanted Espeon. I kind of do regret taking Roserade because Espeon was picked that round. And ultimately, hindsight's 2020, but I should have chosen Espeon instead of Roserade because there was other grass types that I could have gotten. But it's okay. Things happen. We got to move on and get past them. So this pick was ultimately a panic pick when I first picked it. I did pick Slurpuff, like I said, we did have that preseason area where we are allowed unlimited transactions. So I was trying out different mons in RU and everything. I didn't really like Slurpuff just because if you notice, a lot of the mons I have on my team are very versatile in the sets that they can run. I can bring anything I want really, and Slurpuff, you know what's coming into the match. You know it's going to be a belly drum set. So I ultimately dropped it, and I picked up Rotom Mow. Yes, I know I picked up another grass type, but I picked it up with good reasoning. It gave me an electric type too, um, but I wasn't the electric type I was really looking for at this point. Um, but it gave me a electric type. It also gave me another grass type. It gave me a defogger, a willow whisper. Um, it just gave me a bunch of stuff that provided utility. I felt as if it gave me more pivoting with Volt switch. So now I had my Volt turn complete, or my Volt turn core complete. It gave me Leaf Storm, which is one of the strongest grass moves in the game, if not the strongest grass move in the game. But overall, Rotom provided me with a good defensive option if I didn't feel like Roserade was capable of coming that weekend, but I still wanted a grass type. And overall, gave me a Levitate user. And I don't think too many people in the league drafted Mold Breaker. So it having Levitate only gives it a few weaknesses, or a few less weaknesses than what it originally had. Um, so going into NU/PU, I knew I needed a psychic type still. I knew I needed a spin blocker because a lot of spin blockers were going. But I had already picked out my NU/PU pick from the start of the draft after I took Mega Scizor. I ultimately chose Politoed. I chose Politoed because it does have that drizzle ability, which helps Mega Scizor's one weakness with the fire. Um, Politoed's drizzle ability makes it bring rain when it upon entering. So now Mega Scizor's one weakness in fire, its attack is now cut in half, so it kind of protected Mega Scizor. And the more and more I looked at my team, the more and more I noticed, I kind of have a rain team S going without really trying. So Politoed I felt like was a perfect pick at the first pick of NU/PU. And I knew I had to take it first because there is another rain team. Someone drafted Pelipper and Mega Swampert, so I knew if I did not take Politoed as my first pick in NU, I knew it was going to be gone. But I will say I do have some very fun sets coming with Politoed, and it's going to be a monster, so everyone should be on the lookout. Um, and I'm just super excited. I cannot wait to use this thing. It's going to be fun. So going to my next pick, I chose Electros. Um, I chose originally Luxray, but again, preseason I tried it out a few times. It wasn't really my thing. It was kind of cool to have the mascot pick, I know, but I chose Electros because it gave me an electric type that I could bring week in and week out. Unlike Rotom, I felt Electros has absolutely no weaknesses at all. It has the levitate ability, and like I said, I don't know 100%, but I'm pretty sure no one really drafted Mold Breaker, and I drafted Kyurem Black that has Terrible. So that's another form of Mold Breaker. So I don't know if anyone got anything that really can check this. But Electros can be run in some pretty fun ways. I don't really want to go into sets because there might be some sets I do bring. But it can be both run physically offensive and specially offensive. 1 second. Sorry about that. And it has such a deep and diverse move pool, and that's the main reason I wanted to add it to the team, was because unlike Rotom, which Rotom, you kind of know there's a few sets that are going to be coming. Electros, there's so many moves that this thing can have. I can bring it and adjust it however I want it. It's very moldable mon that I really am going to enjoy using. So going into my last pick, all the psychic types were gone, which is why I took Electros where I did. Vikavolt was gone, which was their original Mon that I did want, so Electros was another cover pick for that. So at this point, there was only one thing I really needed. I ultimately took Mesprit originally because I was so desperate for a psychic type, but then I just realized like I'd much psychic typing would have been nice, but I don't really need it. If I do want it, it would be Espeon, but I don't think the guy who has Espeon is going to trade Espeon. Uxie was the other one I really wanted, but we'll see how that works. So ultimately, I did get a ghost type here. There's a few of them I was looking at, but I ultimately went with Dusk Noir. I went with Dusk Noir just because I'm not the biggest fan of Eviolites, because once I feel like you get knocked off, it's kind of hard to work your way back up to that physical or defensive prowess that it has. So that's ultimately why I didn't go with Duskull, and I didn't get Decidueye. I think it went first round if I'm not mistaken, or maybe even second round. So I don't think I would have gotten it either way. But that was my backup on to Roserade. So I don't know. Maybe I hindsight's 2020, but Roserade might have been there or Rotomo, but never know. But ultimately, I did get Dust Noir. It does give me a very good ghost typing. So it does block rapid spin. It has a very deep and diverse move pool, which I didn't even know about until I started using it. And this thing's actually very fun to use. Its move pool is deep. It gives me a rapid spin blocker, and it gives me another Willow Whisper, which I was very, very happy about. So going into the Z Crystal round, I had the last pick. So it was kind of tough. I didn't know what I really wanted. Well, I knew what I wanted, but I knew I had to have backup plans. So originally, I wanted Fightium Z to help out with Kiram and Fernape and some other Mons on the team. And then Fire MZ was a backup plan, and then Icy MZ was my last plan. So I was hoping that I'd get Fightium. So Fightium actually ended up getting sniped, I think, at pick 8, and then Firium went at 9. So I was stuck with Icium. I had to hope and pray that it fell to me, because if it didn't, I really had no idea what I was going to take. And ultimately, I did get Icium Z, which will help bring out some mons such as Kiram Black, Greninja. There's some other mons I've been test running it with, and it's been working out pretty well. So I'm very excited that I did get the Icium Z. But that is my team, and this is the LA Luxrays and SRBA. We are coming for you. We are going to take it by storm. But I just want to give a huge shout out to the whole league. Thank you, all the fans, for watching. I'll catch y'all on the flip side. Peace.